Choose your journey. It's time. It's time to walk the path to peace. Elevate your potential and become a beacon of positive change. Your path brought you here for a reason. Dive in. Embrace the power of collective growth and unlock the masterpiece of your life. The path to peace awaits.
Ready for Gaia?
How can we be resilient in a world that's growing more volatile by the day? How can we thrive?
Don't buy into the fear. It's about waking up.
Explore the world's largest library of conscious media with thousands of films and original programs.
People all over the planet are waking up.
Gaia is ready for you.
We can adapt our lifestyle to this time of extremes.
For the seekers.
Inside, he was able to detect the fetus of some creature. It is clear by scientists that it's something different. It is not human.
The wanderers.
In ancient times, the Atlanteans were said to have an advanced technology and power supply based on crystals.
The dreamers.
My dream is to help people understand how the universe operates so that each person can find their own unique purpose within the cosmic plan.
And the doers.
Thoughts can have an effect on your brain, your body, and your life. And I'm going to show you how to rewire your mind, your heart, and your body.
For those who dare to travel their own path.
Our potential to access the supermind is no longer simply theoretical. How can we hack our history to change our future?
We are meant to learn again and again in this life that truth does indeed set us free.
Now we are proposing a new beginning, a new history for human beings.
All right. You know, this is special. Here we are. Happy New Year. And we're heading into something new. So we're here with you right now, and we get to see that we're continuing this into the future. And that's such a blessing to me. We've had such a great start to this show and everybody involved. And I give thanks to Ryan in the background that you haven't seen yet. You'll see him towards the end of the month. Lauren and Jason and Emily and my wife, Liz, especially, and Pam and Jennifer and Aaron and everybody that's been involved. And especially you all. You all have been involved in a way that says, okay, there's people that really want this and want to elevate themselves. And so I'm grateful for all the things that have come. And we did in 2023, so many people started getting into these new things and with Gaia and that partnership. And so there's so much new stuff coming, and I'm excited for everything to continue with you and see where we go. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say it enough because that's really from the depth of my heart. I'm grateful for everybody that's been involved because I didn't even know. Years ago, I never said I'd be doing this. And here I am, and I enjoy it, and it's because of you. So thank you so much. And as we look back, really quickly as we look back into all the things that we started, that place of practicing peace. It's where we are. And we want to make sure that you're doing that every week. You know, we can have books like all these books I've written back behind me and all the stuff that's here. That's great. And books are really smart. Now, if I didn't take the time to put the book into me, then it just becomes a smart book. And I'm talking about you becoming the book, you taking it in and saying, okay, how can you apply this into your life? And here we are with lesson 13 coming up this week for you to implement as you continue through. And I'm always excited to have these conversations with Dr. Loren Harris, because what comes up with this guy is absolutely amazing. We couldn't even get out of the green room because we were sitting there talking so long about all the different things that were coming our way. So I'm excited to share with you in this new year and just have a conversation around all of this stuff, peace, because you are what's possible. Peace is possible because of you, and it happens through you. So let's get Dr. Loren up here and continue this conversation. What's up, buddy? How you doing? You're muted over there. You're muted.
Oh,
there you go. Here we go.
Yeah. That's that guy back there. How are you? I'm good.
Oh, how you doing?
Friend, come on out here now, Ryan. Come on. I'm just kidding. I'm good. Happy. Wait, I want to put a fireplace on the screen. How are you? How was your Christmas?
Man, it was great. It was great. You know, we drive and travel so much that this time of year, we always stay and really dive into us. And what was amazing for me, you know how on these social medias, they give you like a flashback into your life, right?
Yes.
So here's Well, what came up was I got a reminder that 7 years ago, I was in bed for the last 10 days of the year, that my muscles had atrophied to my bones. I couldn't walk. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't use my arms. Yeah. And so at this point, 7 years later, to be as lively as I am and know that that was just a moment. 7 years later, every cell shifts, everything changes. And here I am. And yeah, feeling great. And that, you know, that level of knowing that peace is really here when I've dealt with that level of pain, it's unshakable now. So I'm grateful for going through that.
Yeah. And be grateful you can refer to it as lively, because when you get to be my age, they call it spry. I'm just as spry. Right. So I know what you're saying. I love those memories because they really do have a way of just catapulting you directly into the arms of gratitude, because you can really see how far you've come, or not in some of our cases. But I love them because some of that stuff I forgot. And you know what the thing about those are that really gets me about those memories, though? Think about it, y'all. You go, where's that shirt? What happened to that jacket?
Right.
All the stuff that's missing. Right. So anyway, I love it. Great time of year.
Yeah. You know, that was 2016. And we left 3 years later. So the shirt that I had on, the bedroom set, everything that was there,
they left it.
It's gone. It's gone. We don't have that stuff, bro. So I can't look. There's sometimes I look at those videos and I say, man, I missed that. But Liz will say, well, you know, we can't get it back. So you're going to have to move on.
Hey, well, and look at it this way. It's never about just one thing. And whenever I feel those, it's like, you know what, you have to learn to put things down in order to be expectant of things that are coming. That's faith. Faith is a place. It's not a thing. It's a place. So it's like, okay, I got to have faith to let go of this because I have faith that thing I see coming is coming soon.
Right.
So yeah, kind of what we're talking about today.
Yeah. You know, and as we start, I want to just kind of take a look back, you know, because here we are, it's a new year. And as everybody typically does, they look back and they say, okay, I'm going to make some New Year's resolutions and move them forward. Now, we'll see, you know, when we're back here in December, at December 2024, have we really implemented it in our lives and said, okay, because if we do, what happens? The world will be at peace.
Of course.
Everybody watching this puts it in their life and follows it through for this whole year. We will see a different world from our vantage point, and that's everybody in it. So let's do it. Why not? Why not take it over? So as we look back, we were talking about at the end, we were talking about Vision Quest. And the first part of Vision Quest is looking within yourself. And so that's part of looking back. Like, what within me or you, and then we're going to go world, can we look at and say, that was something we could really shift to get to peace? One big one to me is, why are we still acting like cavemen and going to war?
Oh, I don't understand that one either. I really don't. I mean, I can't find any justifiable reason. It just, nothing about it. As I'm one of those top to bottom, bottom to top, side to side, corner, corner, corner. Look at, well, maybe. Nope. What about, nope. But we have some very close friends. I've gotten into this with them on Facebook and some things about that. And it was like, that's how some people believe we wouldn't have the freedoms we have if it wasn't for people. I mean, you can go a lot of ways.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, but in the beginning of this, though, we talked about everything comes from a thought. That was the very beginning of crafting peace in our lives. So if I continue a thought that says this is how it is because it was, that thought becomes all the time. And I've been talking to people about this when I look at all right, we'll talk Israel and Gaza. And I'm not even talking about all the stuff that people argue over. I'm saying if we just look at people practicing Judaism and how it's repeated. Now, if I tell the story, it repeats. I tell the story again, it repeats. But yet that's been the plight. So when I was talking with somebody earlier about, they showed me a video of Malcolm X, and I was like, that's awesome. Now, when are we going to step beyond that? They're like, we can't step beyond that. We got to fight over history. We got to know the history. And I'm like, I'm not saying change history because you can't. I'm saying, when are we going to teach and talk about something new so we can have something new? And I see that with a lot of these things around war. We are living in a caveman mentality. It's like, okay, let's go see where the caveman was. In the winter, getting towards winter, what did the caveman do? Go find the bees and shovel in honeycomb so they could get some fat on their body. Now, people still go, you go to Office Depot. What do they got? Candy for you right now. As if you had to go search for the honeycomb. So then people are buying candy, shoveling it in, and they're becoming that. We got people walking around with glucose getting produced all over their body, when it's like, all right, when we're going to move past the caveman mentality? We got heaters in the house. You don't need that much sugar weight, So it's things like that to me that it's like, all right, are we going to shift that way of thinking?
Well, that's interesting because, one of the things that happened at one of our, because we had 3 Christmases this year in 3 different states. And one of the conversations that came up at one of them was, we were going, it was a very nostalgic conversation. And we're, hey, remember this and remember that? And we were talking about all the things that we just, back when, I was so jealous of friends. You're probably too young for this, but let me hear that they was having shake and bake across the street, and now I went like, shake and what? But back then it was like, y'all having shake and bake? It was like the things that we were, just like when Super Sugar Crisp really was Super Sugar Crisp. So sweet. You drink that stuff at the bottom of the bowl, make your eyes water, be so sweet. Now, it's changed. So it's just amazing how, well, I think a lot of it is grooming, because people follow what they're told to believe. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because this came up too. We were talking about, because I was cooking, somebody else cooking, and I was like, what's that? Oh, these some organic beets. And I was like, how you know? Right. They're like, because it says, I was like, but how you know?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, we talked about this, I believe, on one of your shows when we were like, remember back in the day where I remember the first time I saw some water for sale. And I ain't talking about the sparkler stuff because you saw that in offices, but I was talking about free in your house. I was like, this. I was like, they crazy as hell. Who gonna buy some? Can't live without it. I can't. I don't care if they say we got a well, put it underneath this Colorado spring. Mm-mm. I want that. I want this is clean water. But how do I know?
You don't. You don't. Unless you pH test it yourself and do all those things. You don't know. I do know that in my grandmom's house, that she has springs that are there, and she doesn't have to She doesn't have to filter to put it in her house. And she always said, grandson, whenever you come, bring jugs, fill them up, because it was absolutely known where that water came from
and what's around it. Because now that that water might be, but somebody might be burying their plastic right next to it or something for all we know. So interesting. But that's why I love the topic.
Yeah.
Because I believe when we do what you're here to talk about today, things to be true. See, the only way we can do what you're here to talk about today is when we place those things, we commit them, I believe, to our hard drives, our mental, emotional, our spiritual hard drives, and don't carry them around on a thumb drive, a flash drive, a jump drive.
Right.
Really put it on your hard drive. So no matter what rumor you hear tomorrow or bureaucracy you hear next Thursday, if you know it to be true, you feel it in your spirit. Nothing will make you change that. Nothing. I think we need more of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I loved about teaching yoga. As I was teaching yoga and especially training all these teachers, I never had to walk in with a book to teach 200, 500 hours worth of yoga. Why? Because I became the book. And I think that's so important. Like, I don't care what the book is. Like, if you follow the Bible, if you follow the Quran, if you follow the Torah, now there's different aspects of it that may not need to be committed to and become. But if you do become the book, we're living different. People right now are in this place of, oh, I'm a Christian and that's good enough because he came for my sins. So I can keep doing it as long as I repent and go back to that. No. Become the book, become what was taught and elevate yourself into it. And that's what this is about. As we look back, like, all right, let's step into it. Let's see what it looks like to be and follow the Prince of Peace. We can't say we follow the Prince of Peace and go to war all the time.
I'm gonna ring the bell.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's a moment.
That's true. And just so happened, I have this quote book that I got on my Maya Angelou, and one of my favorite things I ever heard her say is, you ever heard that Sunday Soul thing or Soul Sunday? It's an Oprah thing.
Yeah,
Maya Angelou,
something like that.
Yeah. She has a thing on there, and it's just so touching. If y'all get to see it, get a chance, go find it. But about living your own teachings, and it opens with all these busts of different mediums, concrete, gold, bronze, all these statues, these busts of famous people, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, boom, boom, and then they show hers. And then she comes on the screen and she goes, you're living within your divine purpose when you're forced to live your own teachings. And that's man, that's a good one there. That's a good one there. You know how I knew that was when I knew that was the way to go, and that I almost missed it. I'll tell you the truth. I was in the midst of that drug run I had. See, I don't say addiction anymore because I know I wasn't addicted to the drugs. I was addicted to abusing the divine gift of invitation. That's what I was doing. I was giving my power away. I did that. So the thing didn't have nothing to do with it. So anyway, but I remember, when I was asked one day, I heard spirit, I heard the voice, and I was high. I was keep it real, for real. You ever been in a car where your tags was expired and a policeman was behind you?
Yeah.
Right? And your foot be jiggling because you're like trying not to look in the mirror because you know they see when you're right, and then you're afraid you're gonna take off too fast. Anything to get pulled over. I ain't going to jail today. Right. So I was right. I mean it. I was in just as high as could be. And I went through the light and I heard pull over. So I pulled over. I can tell you exactly where it was. McDonald chiropractic clinic. I was right in front of it, Ben Harbor, Michigan. Right. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what's going on? Foot jiggle. And I heard Source say to me, hey, Loren, would you be willing if everything you've ever dreamed, if we told you all you had to do was sign something to say, if I had to, I'd be willing to die for it. Would you do it? I'd say, yeah. I mean, it was so quick. They were like, whoa, man, that was quick. They said, okay, it's a two-parter. We should have warned you. But anyway, here's the second part of the same question, a little different. What if we said if the deal was just the same, except the only change was instead of dying for us and dying for it, you had to live for it? Oh, wait a minute. Does that mean I can't watch porn no more? Wait a minute. I got to give up drugs? Wait a minute. I mean, all the stuff that I thought that started pouring out of me that I knew was not in alignment with my higher self, not in alignment with all the things I said I wanted to get to this spot in life to help other people to the same spot. In that moment, and I really heard Spirit like, we'll get back to you. You taking too damn long. And I was like, it bothered me. How come I was so willing to die for something? That's the easy way. That's why. But doing what you said, becoming the book, that ain't as easy because now it's not about your mouth. It's about your feet. It ain't this. It ain't what you said, it's what you did.
Right. And, as this thing came up, the flashback to 2016, and I'm in bed, Liz leaning over, all the stuff that I went through.
What was wrong with you?
It was a spiritual awakening, and I've been tested. I had check for lines, check for everything you could think of. It got to a point where I said, look, I'm not coming back because I'm not trying to be the new Lou Gehrig's. I don't want to be the Sid McNairy disease since y'all can't figure it out. So I eventually stopped going, but and yet I met with different people that said different things of you're going to go through every pain in the world to get to the peace you say you want to be. And so that's really what came. And so it got to a point now that if I lose my peace, I can't walk. I've just gotten to a point where nothing shakes my peace that bad. So yeah, I don't wish that on anybody because I know what I had to go through to get here. Yet I promise you I'm a whole peace because I like being out of my bed.
That's ooh-wee. Okay. So that ties into the new call to action I was given. I was told by Spirit, Loren, this was like probably right around my birthday, July, somewhere in July. And it's, here,
right
Loren,
after we met.
Yeah, right. It was during that time, the trip to the wedding and all that. And I got a new theme. This is your new theme. And until further notice, operate under this umbrella. Everything you do should lead to this. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. And they said, your new theme is raising your temple. And it showed me when I said raising, it wasn't like raising Arizona, raising your children. It showed me Amish people raising a barn, building it, taking it higher, adding floors to it. And that's why I just came from learning, transcendental meditation. That's when I went and found myself a mindfulness coach. And I didn't even know, because I never do, I made it to where I am through what I refer to as the Helen Keller method. Just close my eyes, just faith. Seriously, I just go. And so I started seeking, what does this mean? How does it? And I'm going to tell you that it's an amazing thing when you start laying out your footprints compared to your words. If you can take the words, go back, like you just had a 6-year thing sent you back to when now if you go in and listen to the things you recorded on live and all that stuff, then you were predicting in many cases the you and all the stuff today. Sometimes we forget.
Yeah. You know, I had gone through, I talked about in one of the videos, because the videos are there. Like it's undeniable. These things are now documented and put on by someone holding them, and I'm not doing it, right?
Yeah.
Now it's not just me living it now, it's stamped by someone else. It's almost like you can, if you come up with an idea and you don't have the money to go patent it or put the trademark on it, what do? If you go to write it up, put it in an envelope, mail it to yourself, and never open it, you just stamped it that nobody else could take it. Why? Because the government has just said, this is sealed. And when you walk in court, if that sucker's sealed, it's as good as anything else that we do.
So yeah, a lot of people copyright that way. Used to,
yeah,
you know?
right.
Mail it back to yourself. And I'm gonna tell you something. You're gonna get ready. You go. There one right there. I got a whole drawer of them. When I get downloads, predictions for myself, I'll write them. And you see, look, in these little things, I can't show you the other side because it tells me a little hint to what the prediction is, but I tape it shut and initial it. And I put it in this drawer and I mark it in my calendar. Like I go into my calendar and pick a projected date to go and see if I should have opened this envelope to see. Right.
Oh, man. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
See, it's a great, isn't it amazing what you catch in that net? When you go, ooh wee.
Yeah, I got January 2029 sitting there. And you know what that's about.
Uh-huh. Oh, I already know. Let me start writing a poem for that day.
Yeah,
you know
that's what's up. Yeah. So I mean, it's like that now. You and I write it in the thought of what we want to come, which I do feel that if we look at creation started with nothing. And let's say there's nothing. So that means that the first thought now becomes something. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word became God. With that being said, if I keep repeating the word that was the past, I am creating the past and the future.
Exactly.
People got to track this because I'm just laying it out there. We can sit down and we can go slower, but I'm giving it to you right now. Truly taking on and saying, okay, I just made this thought. It's becoming. If I don't like the thought that I'm having right now, start paying attention in your mind. That's what meditation comes for. So you can see yourself and say, okay, now I see me. Is this how I want my life to go? If not, start shifting. That's what Dr. Loren's talking about with getting a mindset coach. Getting somebody that helps you see yourself, because actually you could do it yourself, but most people don't have that kind of time. I started meditating when I was 8 years old. So seeing my mind, that's just what I do. That's just how it's been, how it's happened. It's not that anybody else can't do it. It's most people don't take the time to do it. So that's really it. And that's what you're talking about. It's like setting the stage for what's to come, because we've already gone through enough lessons to say, I am the creator of my reality.
Exactly. And perfect, as always, segue from you into what was next for me to say. And it was this. Just like with the envelopes, just like what is on this pad. I love writing stuff down ahead of time to see if the conversation goes to that intersection. And it does. Inevitably, it does. If people, including myself, if we really were more consistent and didn't have a shared custody agreement with faith and with manifestation and all the pieces, the law of attraction, all the little components, the spokes of that wheel, which makes things reality, right? For instance, I wrote down to say to you when I asked you, when you told me you were in bed and your muscles had atrophied and all this, what did I say? What most people say, what was wrong? Now it came through me how to make, because I'm seeking my higher self. Wrong way to frame that question, Loren. Why didn't you say it wasn't about what was wrong? That isn't why you were there. in that situation. You were there because of what was right. You were there because of what was right, because that got you here. You wouldn't be, if you wasn't ready for that. See, the testimonial is what you're talking about today. But back, that memory was the test. See, the Christians say, you know, from the test comes the testimonial. Just like impossible means I'm possible. That stuff, those are clues. They're all over the place. Now, another thing, when in my little envelopes for me, because I know me, you gotta be honest with yourself. All these little envelopes that I have in this drawer with these predictions are based on need. Because I know that in my world, that's an intricate part of a plan. Want in my world has always been like the equivalent of a wish. There's no plan to it. I want to lose. I want to be, well, Eskimos and in hell want ice water. You don't hear them say they need ice water. And when you're, almost cussed and said ass, but it's in the Bible. So anyway, during this holiday season, when your parents, that's in my masterclass. I learned that when I was in group homes, and I'd go to study with kids that had normal homes, right? And I could always tell, because the parents said, well, when your friend leaves, we need to have a talk, because I ain't got permission to bring somebody in the house, right? And I was like, ooh, they getting it. Because that was the difference. When a parent said, when you talk to your son, it's different when you say, well, I want to hear from you, instead of I need to hear from you now. The phone ring 10 seconds later.
Right,
because need is a part of a plan. Then last piece, but this is important. A lot of times how people, like, the reason we come together, like when we met, see, at Jason's, everything, the stage was set. That particular, everybody coming together was what is known as fellowship. A lot of times nowadays, people come together to protest or this or whatever out of fear. See what I'm saying? Right. Mm-hmm. The ground on which you're standing on is either going to be for fellowship, where we come together, that's the peaceful part, or fear, which is the chaotic part. That's how I feel about that.
Right. I dig it. And the way we've been moving in this conversation, we've actually gone through the questions without even going through the
always do
need for proposing the questions. Yet here last week, we were talking about looking within ourselves and seeing what we've been creating. That's the first part of Vision Quest. Mm-hmm. Now, as we go on to the second part of Vision Quest, for those that don't know, Vision Quest, the Native American custom where you go sit out on the mountains, we can talk about that some other time. The second part is, so you go through the directions. The West, looking within yourself, is where we are. Now, this time, we're talking about going into the North. And as we go into the North, we're talking about learning the lessons and living the lessons out. So it's okay to go through the lessons, as we were talking about. It's okay to have something come up. And now as it comes up, now I've got to live that lesson forward. It's once I have the awareness, it's like the definition of sin is to miss the mark. If I don't know there's a mark, how can I miss the mark? And as soon as I know the mark, I've got to hit the mark. I've got to get on target. That all of those things play out in that way. I think it's important to look at as we get here now. We are repeating the same stuff over and over in new ways just because the times change, but yet it's the same stuff. We'll take fashion. Let's not make it so heavy anymore. We'll take fashion. Bell bottoms come back around. Short shorts come back around. Long shorts come back around. We can go. Fashion shows you that it's just repeating. Can't make up new fashion. It's the same stuff that transfers into the next generation. So we're doing the same thing with other things because you can't make up a new problem. Problems are problems. They're already here. Let's move on. Let's learn the lessons and start living the lessons forward into something greater. At this point in time, when we know everybody needs a house, why have we not created a way to do that? When we know that mentally people get unstable when their food is lacking. Well, if we really want people to be mentally well, we'll figure out how to change the diet. We'll start doing these things because we've gone through the lesson, we learn it, and now we live it out. And I think that's so important for us to look at as we come into the beginning of this year. How can we live this stuff out to make it different?
Absolutely true. 1000%. And like you said, beginning of the year, some people say new year. Well, but also it's the beginning of a different year, because there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new.
Right.
You know, and you know when I learned that? When I remember asking my mom about when we got a piano, those keys. How many is it? 26? I don't remember.
No.
You know, there's a number of keys, but every kind of song has been created from those same keys. Heavy metal, Brahms lullaby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Backward mass music and His Eyes on the Sparrow. You know, I mean, everything you could, every musical, everything. If it was a chant, you know, or whatever, all came from those same notes. So there's nothing new under the sun. So I'm gonna say what I feel about. I want to see what you think about it. Really, is because a lot of us, it took me decades to understand how important it was to do what you're describing here. But then I didn't know, well, it was so easy, like common sense. I used to say, well, that's common sense, Granny. And my granny would say, boy, ain't no such thing. It was so common. How come more people don't use it? Oh, I was like, we got a point there. So I was like, okay, so I want to live my own teachings. I want to live the book that is in me. But how do I do it consistently? And so what I learned to do, and still am learning, if I'm going to be completely transparent, is I know that I go, what is it that I must do every day or every second? I got to breathe. And breathing, look how intricate breathing is in everything. When we're upset and we're trying to get the chaos and babies and stuff, what did your mom or dad do? They rubbed your back and I was like, just breathe. Shh. Just breathe. It calms them down, right? When they bring people back that have flatline, what's the first thing that happens? They come up out of something. You know, even people that drown, when they're getting out the thing that's tried to kill them, the water in the lungs, the body goes out, you know, it raises up. So what I'm getting at is, I say this, what I do, I try to, like a mantra when you're meditating. Right after I take that life-giving breath that I need, and I exhale it, in my mind's eye, in my spirit, right in front of me, the very first thing I encounter is my passion / purpose / divine gifts, because it's like a trifecta. They're right there, so that I have to face them right after I have breathed. And that's why I now think I understand what it means, the breath of life, breathing life into things. Because when you breathe, when you that's the very, after you got yours, you give life. You breathe it through your gifts, through your knowing, through your passion, through your truths. The only things that never change and will never change on you. You see what I'm saying? So it makes sense. It's like yin and yang. I breathe to live. I breathe into. I breathe life out. Because I have no choice. Those things are next.
Yeah. I mean, it's so much that came up as you were talking, and I'll go with the breath first, and anybody's watching can try this on for themselves. Take a deep breath in. Hold it. And at some point, you're going to have to let it go.
Say, okay, what you maybe fall out of it.
And then the same thing happens if you breathe all the way out. At some point, you're going to have to breathe in. You have to do both. You have to give and receive.
Yeah.
That's just part of it. It's so innate in us. We don't know how to do it any other way. So that's something that I think needs to start to take place. People learn from the breath. Breathe in, breathe out.
Oh.
What you got? What you got?
Because you see, I just picked the book up. It was flat. I knew. I was looking through here at the beginning. I was like, I wonder which one of these I'm supposed to use. And as soon as I said that, I stopped. Thank you, Ryan. And put it down. And I was like, how is this going to come into play? So here it is. When you're talking about give and take, give and take. So give, take. Because I remember my birth mother, Lucia, said, don't nobody like somebody every time they see your palm facing the ceiling. Right? Right? But Maya Angelou said, I've learned that you shouldn't go through life with a catcher's mitt on both hands. Why? Because you need to be able to throw some things back.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that give and take, that's for all, it's from all directions. You know, it ain't just, I don't need my hand empty just to give me some. See? Give me some, Ryan. Who got something for me? You know, sometimes it's so that I see, well, how the hell you can, get your ass out of here and get rid of something.
Right.
See?
Right.
That's why, just like this, I say this all the time. Got one for you. I know you heard this a million times. Some people just don't know how to say no. But on the same token, because give and take, and there's also a group of us that don't know when to say yes. See what I'm saying? It ain't never about just one thing.
Yeah. It comes to that point where it's just time for us to learn how to give. So many people, and you can see it. There's people that they've just been receiving. You can see it. The body's expanding.
Yeah, wait a minute.
All this stuff. Now it's time to just give.
Okay, wait. You got to go here, Sid. Next, because we all know that person. I know somebody in my family. God rest her soul. She gone. But when she was here, just a shit starter. And I'm gonna tell you how she was, because she gave all the time to people, even when they didn't ask. Even when she said, "I ain't giving them enough now. They don't bring me I didn't give you the money in pieces. Don't bring it back." Right. And then, as soon as I learned not to take nothing from her. Because the minute can we just keep this between us? Oh, of course, baby. Here, I seen it at $40 or whatever. Ain't even sent it yet. Hey, it's me. Guess who I just got off the phone with? And guess who? If I said I got to send them $40, who you think I'm talking about? Yeah, girl. Somebody lights gonna get turned off. They can't wait. They give it to you so they have something to talk about. Look at that. So please talk about what unconditional truly means. A lot of people can say
it has no conditions, right? Like no conditions. No matter if I'm loving you unconditionally, I'm just going to love regardless of what happens on the other side of that. So if I'm giving, then I just give it without expectation of it needing to come back in any way. I think that's important to begin to look at. Like we have these expectations we've put on everything, and a lot of them are even expectations that are almost impossible to meet. And so then all of a sudden it's like we are creating this space of failure. The person that we're lending money to that doesn't have a job, they're going to fail, and we've already set them up for failure and even imprisoned them to that space of failing over and over and over again, especially if they don't know how to claim bankruptcy 13 times and get out of it and still go on to be at the top of the country. Like if they don't know those loopholes, we've already set up failure. So when are we going to start to set things up where people succeed? Like, hey, I'm doing this because I know that you can do. Like someone who doesn't have a home right now, and they're going around and they're collecting trash in order to eat. That happens in our country.
Yeah.
Right? And so now that person knows how to do that. We could easily set it up for, okay, you're going to have a house by going to get stuff to put in the trash can. We can set things up if we really look at and start living the lessons that we've already learned. We can set things up that everybody does their part for us to have peace.
True. But I'm going to say this, because I remember in Benton Harbor, Michigan, back when I was working for CPC, Citizens for Progressive Change, right? A nonprofit helping the African-American community there, because that's. And anyway, Jimmy Carter homes came along. All these people applied, they got them. in 3 years, them things were just as raggedy as the projects. Not because the homes were built cheaply, which they kind of were, but they could have lasted 3-4 times that amount of time if someone would have taught them how to take care of property. They didn't teach people what is that? The power of ownership, the respect that comes with ownership. If you live on a street where everybody owns a house and there's that one house that's a rental, it's always one with the grass that ain't done. They ain't putting extras in. They ain't putting no lights up for Christmas.
Well, there's a study where they, on one side of, it might have been Compton, it might have been somewhere else, but it's somewhere in California. On one side of the street, they went in and they helped people paint their houses, and they took care of, cleaned up the inner city that it was there. And they came back 4 months later when those people were looking at the cleaner part of the street. The people on the other side went and got paint and painted theirs because they didn't want to look like that.
They didn't want to look like that.
They didn't want to look like the broke down when they had something across from them that wasn't broken.
Exactly.
And so I agree with you. And also along those lines of helping people see something different, we actually have to take the time to help people understand discipline and doing
why they should fiercely protect what you've given them, what 100%. You've shown them, why you must protect this fiercely.
And that discipline is, I'm a disciple of peace. That's my discipline. It's my discipline. I am in it steadfast all the time in my discipleship of peace. People can learn how to be more in that way, and then we'll have a different space. But we got to start teaching that. I just happened to start playing sports at 7 years old. So the discipline to go from playing sports to turning it into my career, feeding my family, sending my kid to private school in sports, it took a lot of discipline to wake up every day, to be on time, to do all those things.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's like, okay, I'm meditating at 4 a.m. Why? Because I have the discipline to get up without an alarm clock to do it.
And that's what it learned that discipline. You practiced it. Well, you didn't learn, you practiced it, and now it's become natural.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Not
so that is going back. That's learning the lesson, living the lesson.
Exactly.
We got to learn it, put it in our bodies, become the book, and bring it forward. As we learn this and people tune in and they dial in and they share with their children. That's why, I had something I wanted to share, but I was like, I don't know if I want to share that because of the words I would have had to use to do it. Now, so let's say it's 11:59, you go sit on the pot and you drop number 2. You drop number 2 at 12 o'clock. It's still the same old SH. It's the same old stuff. So if we keep bringing that stuff forward into the next day, we keep living the same thing. At some point, we have to say, okay, we've learned a lesson. It's time for us to care for each other. Stop bringing that SH into the next generation. And that's an important part of it to me when it comes to learning the lesson, living the lesson, and taking it forward.
Absolutely right. And I think to find fun ways, enjoyable ways, challenging ways, intriguing ways to teach yourself what you don't know. Because a lot of us think we automatically know. Hey, you ain't talking about none of me. I know how to, I ain't got no problem with unconditional. But I'm going to tell you this. I don't think I learned about myself this year was this. One of the things was that I used to get offended, like women or like somebody in my family or somebody that I call myself knowing, when they hug you and they do all this. Why you patting me on the back? What that old fake ass hug? I couldn't stand it, right? And then I started catching myself doing it. I was like, oh my God. But then when it let it be a homeboy, same thing, just with more for hey nigga. And we just did it harder. Did the same thing.
Right.
Because we don't want to just do this. A silent, quiet, no sound, just an embrace. We got I don't want you to get the wrong idea now. Placating. You see what I'm saying? It's something fellowship based, like a hug, but we got to add some kind of condition to it, like that. So there, I just want to close with that, just to say, for those of us who think, well, that was a good show, glad they wasn't talking about me.
Yeah, as we begin to wind it down, awareness, thought, reality. Once I have the awareness of where I am, now I'm starting to create thoughts around that, and it becomes my reality. If I don't like the reality that's coming, then become aware that there's something else to bring forward. Now create the thoughts based on it and start to see a new reality.
So if you don't like that reality, who you gonna blame? Whose fault is it? Who you gonna get mad at? Huh?
Hey, it's yours.
That's gonna destroy your peace. So who you gonna get mad at?
Right.
Who are we really mad at in most cases?
Well, we're seeing from our own eyes, so we're mad at ourselves.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Exactly. And you know what? That's the last thing. You know, a good way to, if you have that problem of not seeing things in yourself, I'll tell you this. Whenever the one way to find your way to that, to complete the circle, is when someone gives you a compliment or they say wonderful things about you. I always say, well, you know what? I appreciate that and I receive it. But guess what? I guarantee you, because I see you and I know you, that somewhere in the world, someone is saying these same things about you. Because when I do it like that, it works in reverse too. You see what I'm saying? It helps complete the circle.
Right.
So that you can see things about yourself. That's that whole biblical thing about the thing in the person's eye and they got a log in your own, splinter in their eye. Yeah. To thine own self, Shakespeare said it best. Be true.
Right on. I appreciate it. Like it.
Yeah.
All right. So we're heading into this new year and leaving with one more nugget. You got something else? What else is coming up? What are you living into?
Ooh, the new year? Ooh, you caught me off guard on that. Well, I'm gonna just say this. Be expectant. Stop now. Don't wait until New Year's Eve or during the countdown. You know, when you manifest, be expectant. Don't be surprised when it shows up. When things happen, like people, that's why people that win a lotto be broke in 2 months or dead, for real, hiding out and shit, because they, even though they bought that ticket, they didn't expect to win. When you don't expect what you've manifested, you don't know what to do with it when it comes. What you doing here? But when your dreams, when your manifestations ring the doorbell to your journey and you open the door, you should say, hey, come on in. I've been expecting you. Let me show you to your room. Because I ain't giving you a seat at the table. You ain't here for dinner. You here to live. You see? Let me show you to your room. Where the rest of your shit?
Oh, you got froze on that interesting space. So as
2024,
there you are.
From a place, don't live 2024 from a place of surprise. Oh, I can't believe it happened. Oh, Lord Jesus, yeah. No. Live from a place of expectancy. I'm not surprised because I expected this. Why would I have manifested it if I didn't believe it could be?
Yes, sir.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Doc. I look forward to this year and everything coming forward, and excited to come check you out on Trajectory TV. And everyone, go find Loren's show, Bathrobe Moments. Wakes up in the morning, gets on, and he's ready to commune with you. So go check it out and find those things. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And as we look at all the things coming forward in this year, we've got a lot of different ways for you to progress along this journey of peace. So go to artofpeacefulliving.com. You can go to events, you go to programs, all the different ways to help yourself. And as we continue to move forward this week, lesson 13, look deeply within and see. Go in, see what you're seeing in here, because what's being projected out here is only happening because my thoughts see it that way. I could see it in another way, and it can be the same exact thing. It's like looking at those magic eye pictures. Soften your gaze, and all of a sudden, a whole new picture comes forward for you. So be willing to see something different as you go through this week. And we'll see you next week. Excited for every time that we come together. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. We'll see you soon. Peace.